Innovation is the only sustainable form of differentiation. Hi, welcome to another series of innovation news updates from nttcomdd. My name is Hui-Yung Seong. Today we are going to show you a demo on Cloudflare's Zero Trust solution that we have set up in our lab. Let's have a look at the overview of this demo. This is the diagram of the entire lab demo environment. Cloudflare sits in the center between the end users and the applications. The users need to access different types of applications, including the untrusted sites on the internet. This is where we can apply secure web gateway SWG policies or content categories or options to provide browser isolations. The other type of application will be software as a service, SaaS applications that we lack control of, where consistent security policies can be provided by Cloudflare. Next, there are self-hosted applications located in the data center, and we need to expose them via secure access. For services already in place, like the identity provider, say Okta, we can integrate them with Cloudflare easily. Let's start by talking about the end user experience. Assuming that I am a clientless user and first I would like to visit some of the internet sites, and according to the policy, the gambling sites should be blocked, and file-sharing apps like Google Drive or Dropbox should be run in an isolated browser. So let me turn to my browser right now. So let me start by visiting a gambling site, say skybet.com. Okay, because of the clientless user behavior, the traffic is not redirected to the Cloudflare gateway, and hence the internet surfing traffic is not protected. And let's try a file-sharing app, say Dropbox.com. Okay, so you can see that accessing to the file-sharing app like Dropbox.com has no issue, and we can open any files. And next, let's switch back to the diagram. So next, we are going to access some of the SaaS applications like Salesforce.com, and it should be allowed. So let's switch back to the browser. So with the Access App Launcher provided by Cloudflare, the users can easily open all applications that we have access to from a single dashboard. So let's start by logging in, and let's select the Okta as the identity provider. Let me key in my username now, and then my password and click Sign In. So on this dashboard, there are icons for us to access the applications directly, or alternatively, we can open up a new browser and access via this URL. So for example, let's start by accessing the browser-based SSH. So we click on the icon or the shortcut in the browser, enter the username, and this is how we can access the SSH console via browser. We can now issue the usual SSH commands in this section. Okay, so once we are done, we can issue the exit command. Okay, so let's close this browser, and next we can access some of the intranet applications like Juice Shop. We can access the application from the app launcher directly. Just click on the Juice Shop icon. Okay, so this is how we can access the intranet applications. And next, so for the corporate API gateway, it is only accessible by those users with the Warp client enabled. So since we are a clientless user, we would not be able to access these two corporate applications, but we can give it a try right now. So let's click on Corporate API Gateway. So we are getting a block page provided by Cloudflare, and let's try with the corporate Jira app. So we do not have the access until we have our Warp client enabled. And next, so let's try to check the connectivity to some of the internal IP addresses. So let me open up a command prompt. So this is one of the internet IP addresses hosted in our data center. So we are running a continuous ping. So check its connectivity, and we failed to access until we have had our Warp client enable. So next, what I'm going to do is to enable the Warp client. So the moment the Warp client is enabled, we can see that the access to the internal IP is successful. So this is one of the RDP jump hosts. So we can test it out 172.16.32.30 and click connect. Let's key in the password. So we can see that with the Warp client enabled, we can access all the internet IPs just like with any typical VPN connection. Now we are reaching the client scenario. So let's revisit the two internet sites that we have tested just now. First is the gambling site. We shall visit back the same skybet.com. Now we can see that the access has been blocked by Cloudflare SWG. And then so let's try to access the Dropbox, which is the file sharing app again. Okay, let me do a login now. So the access to the file sharing app like Dropbox is successful. However, there is some difference because this is actually running in an isolated browser. So let's try to open some of the text files over here. We can browse the internet exactly like a regular user without realizing there is any difference. And how we could isolate the traffic is by bringing up a remote browser by using the Kotlog shortcut, and this will run all the codes within it. Here we can see that the browser isolation toolbar pops up to show the live performance metric that indicates how fast this virtualized tab communicates with the end users. And also I would like to show a couple of things. First, this has some data protection controls placed around this section. Let's say if I wanted to copy this configuration data, it would be blocked by the isolated browser. And let's say the user would like to print it out. This has been blocked as well. So the browser isolation helps fill in the security gap with the zero trust network access and SWG implementation by protecting both the user and the application with one another. Let me switch back to the diagram and let's revisit salesforce.com again. So if you go back to the app launcher now, you can see there are two more icons appear over here. This is because with the Warp client enabled, we have access to the corporate applications. So let's click on the Salesforce shortcut. All right, so accessing to the SaaS application has no difference comparing the client and the clientless in our scenario. Let's test the self-hosted apps again. So let's start with the browser-based SSH. This should work the same like the clientless user. And then the Juice Shop Internet application and next, which is the corporate API gateway. Okay, so this corporate API gateway is running in the isolated browser, as well as we would like to protect the information in this portal. Again, if you try to copy anything from this site, it will be blocked. And the same goes to the print function. And last will be the corporate Jira app. There is no issue to assess for the client users. And regarding the browser isolation, I would like to show how browser isolation can be applied without endpoint clients. So let me disconnect the Warp clients. So even for a clientless user, you can click on the browser isolation tab and manually key in the URL that we would like to execute in the isolated browser. For example, Dropbox.com. Let's log in again. Okay, this is the Dropbox functioning app running in the isolated browser by a clientless user. So let's assume you open any confidential file and we can expect the same data protection behavior whereby the copy and print functions are disabled. From the perspective of a security administrator, we will see what kind of visibility can be provided from the Cloudflare dashboard. From the access request log, we can see which users are accessing what applications, and we can click on any access request log and drill down into all the details. That's all I would like to show you in this Cloudflare Zero Trust solution demo today. Thank you and see you in the next episode of our nttcomdd Innovation News Update.